The first camera, and the cheapest, is Yi Lite. This camera, despite costing only half the price of the Yi 4K, it still takes really sharp 16 megapixel pictures. The electronic image stabilization works also really good. It shares the same firmware and app that you see on the Yi 4K, but lacks live streaming. One downside is that it doesn't have a real usable 4K, as it can only shoot at 20 frames per second at 4K, and that's too low of a frame rate to maintain smoothness in the shots. So if you are looking for 4K, you should get Mijia 4K instead. Keep in mind also, that doesn't come with any accessories, like the waterproof case. That you have to buy separate. It's the cheapest in this list, but you will have to spend extra to have the waterproof case or any other accessory. Yi 2 4K. It is claiming to be the best action camera for the money, and one that could hold its ground against some GoPro cameras. The live streaming is something that not many action cameras have, and the Yi has it. You can live stream directly to Facebook or YouTube. There is room for improvement. They should make stabilization possible on 4K shooting, as it's not currently doable, and allow to use the touchscreen with the waterproof housing. The Yi 4K falls a little short in audio quality and lacking several features like the waterproof body, built-in GPS, and voice control. Anyway, I consider that this camera is a great value for money. What makes the Yi 4K really popular is the always growing community of users, the manufacturer support, and continuous upgrade for the firmware, adding more features and cleaning the software bugs. The Yi 4K is a really great camera, is intuitive and easy to use with the large 2.19-inch touchscreen, great image quality, and reliable and useful smartphone app. Next in our list, we have the Xiaomi Mijia 4K. When the Mijia 4K was first released, it was one of the first action cameras to be able to film 4K with a touchscreen that costs below $100. Many people thought this was a little too good to be true, but they were wrong. It turned out to be really good and still is today. The Mijia 4K has one of the largest 2.44-inch touchscreen display in action cameras, and is easy to navigate and a good battery that supports the screen, so the battery life is not compromised. In addition, the overall interface is also very neatly categorized and clean because of this, and this makes it one of the most user-friendly budget action cameras. The quality is superior as well. It's able to take 4K at 30 frames per second and capture 8 megapixel shots. It can take raw images, which shows exactly how accurate and good are the pictures. It has a very good customer service, and you get help and advices from a growing community of users. A downside is that it can't stabilize at 4K resolution and doesn't come with any accessory. Overall, I would absolutely recommend the Mijia 4K because it is user-friendly, has a great interface, and awesome support from the community. The next camera is the T5 Edge. They started getting the attention when they released their first 4K action camera, which was the cheapest 4K action camera at that time, and despite the price, it did not compromise any build or firmware, and the quality was way better than many action cams, even more expensive than it. Their latest action camera, the T5 Edge, is basically the T5 but with more new and improved features. The main difference, in my opinion, would be the addition of the electronic image stabilization, which works even with 4K, which was not originally available with the T5. Also, they've added a remote control which is unique as it supports voice control too, so you can simply take a photo or start a video without having to physically press it, which is super convenient, especially when you're on a vacation with a selfie stick or mounted on somewhere. GoPro Hero 7 White. The GoPro Hero 7 White is their cheapest and most basic action camera from GoPro. Like the other models, it's waterproof at up to 10 meters without external housing. Plus, it has a touch display and voice control. Is made out of light gray rubber. It's a pretty nice material to have as it increases grip, and you don't need to worry about scratches. The battery is built into the camera, so you can't carry an extra battery. It lasts 100 minutes. That is quite average. Image quality is good. It has the typical neutral GoPro colors, and the overall image is clear and sharp. It doesn't come with any fancy features such as GPS or live streaming, and the maximum resolution you can record videos with is 1440p, and it lacks the high-end perks of hyper-smooth video. Video stabilization is very good, but works up to 1080p and 60 frames per second. So it's really been made as basic as it can be. The white model still costs more than any of its budget competitors, but has behind the brand, and if a GoPro is what you want, this camera would be your budget option. SJ Cam SJ7 Star. SJ Cam has a long story on action cameras, contending with the GoPro is cheaper, and they've come a long way. Even if a couple of years old, this camera is still a great option. The SJ7 Star has an aluminum body and definitely feels well built and sturdy. Being able to record true 4K and boasting a large 12 megapixel sensor, it really allows you to take sharp and accurate shots without doing much. Also, it has a neat interface, complemented by its large 2-inch touchscreen, so you're able to navigate and customize anything easily with a few swipes and taps. Utilizing a mini USB to charge also means you have the choice to attach an external microphone if you need it one day. Furthermore, if you're planning to operate it in wet conditions, such as when snorkeling or swimming during your vacation, the touchscreen will still work in wet conditions, though not underwater. However, although it has built-in gyro stabilization, one major downside of the SJ7 Star is the inability to stabilize shots at 4K, only in 1080p, 30 or 60 frames per second. So you might want to take that into consideration if you're using 4K as the main shooting resolution. All in all, a really well-built action camera, and I especially liked the feature when you are still able to operate it normally in wet conditions.